Imagine waking up on a quiet Sunday morning, heading downstairs with fresh donuts for your family, only to realize that every single door and window in your house is suddenly, inexplicably fused shut. Outside, the world looks completely untouched, but you are trapped. No way out. No cell service. Just you, your family, and a house that is slowly turning into a fortress you can't escape. What would you do first? Panic? Blame the locks? Or pray it's all just a bad dream? Our story opens on a crisp, foggy morning right by the ocean. Jason, a hard-working family man, is out on the water trying to catch a few fish before the day starts. But the fish aren't biting, and the sky is rapidly turning an unsettling shade of bruise purple. An unusually massive storm is rolling in fast. Tuning into the truck radio on his way home, Jason hears the news anchor's voice crackle with concern. This isn't just a coastal drizzle. It's a monster system sweeping inward at terrifying speed. Arriving back at his suburban neighborhood, everything seems deceptively normal. It's Christmas morning. People are preparing for their usual routines. Jason grabs the mail, sighing at an urgent notice from the IRS that reveals the family's mounting financial stress, and greets Cass, their aging, beloved dog. He sneaks upstairs to wake up his wife, Riley, with fresh donuts, ready to enjoy a cozy day with the kids. But that domestic comfort is about to shatter. First, the internet goes completely dark. Then, Riley receives a grim notification from their home contractor. The foundation of their house is sinking, and the heavy brick fireplace is literally the only thing keeping the structure standing. Talk about adding insult to injury. Financial ruin and a collapsing house on Christmas Day? But before they can even digest that bad news, the kids start bickering near the front door. They can't get it open. Jason steps in, thinking it's just a stuck deadbolt. He unlocks it, grabs the handle, and pulls. Nothing. He checks the patio door, the garage, the windows, even the gas vent. Every single exit is sealed tight as a vault. Frustrated and assuming it's a mechanical jam, Jason takes a step back and hurls his entire body weight into a kick against the front door. Instead of busting open, the door rebounds like solid concrete, launching Jason backward across the entryway. Okay, raise your hand if you'd already be losing your mind at this point. Furious, he grabs a heavy iron poker from the fireplace and smashes it straight into the window pane. The glass spiderwebs, but it refuses to shatter. Looking through the cracked window, Jason notices his neighbor across the street waving a mirror. Using hand-painted signs, they realize a terrifying reality. It's not just their house. Every single home on the block has been locked down simultaneously. No one can leave. To cope with the rising panic, the family starts giving their unseen neighbors ridiculous nicknames. The most tragicomic of all? Boat Guy. A neighbor who spent his life savings on a luxury boat that sits in his driveway because he's actually deathly afraid of the ocean. Irony really has a dark sense of humor, doesn't it? As night falls, the rain begins to pour. Desperate for answers, Jason drills a hole straight through the front door. But as the drill bit pierces the outside layer, it immediately overheats and burns out. Peering through the tiny pinhole, Jason sees something surreal. The rain isn't just falling. It's forming a dense, gel-like barrier of water that actively seals the house from the outside world. By day 7, the reality of long-term isolation sets in. Rations are stretched, water is saved in every bucket, and electrical devices are charged. To keep spirits up, Jason pulls out old board games and vinyl records. In a tender moment, their young daughter, Ruth, donates 3 of her favorite stuffed plushies so her dad can teach the kids how to scale and gut a fish, preparing them for the day they'll finally go fishing together again. But as the days turn into weeks, hunger becomes an inescapable ghost. Late one night, Ruth is in the attic when she notices a bizarre raindrop sliding across the glass. Stranger still, the drop moves horizontally, following the exact path of her finger. She whispers to her brother that her friend, the rainwalker, has returned. Her parents brush it off as a child's overactive imagination driven by isolation, but the universe is about to prove Ruth right in the most horrifying way possible. During a brutal midnight thunderstorm, the motion lights in the backyard flash on. Ruth pulls back the curtain and freezes. Standing outside in the torrential rain is Susan, the neighbor's wife who had fled weeks ago seeking help. She's drenched, holding a knife, frantically pounding on the glass. "They're all dead," she screams, pleading to be let in before they see her. Before Jason can even react, a massive, translucent tendril made of solid water surges out of the darkness. It wraps violently around Susan's waist and yanks her backward into the storm amidst a blinding flash of white light. Just like that, she's gone. Now the truth is crystal clear. Whatever is out there in the rain is not human, and it is hunting. Jason enacts a new rule for the family. Board up every window, cover every gap, and under no circumstances do you look outside when it rains. As the months grind on, the emotional toll peaks in a scene that will tear your heart out. Cass, their faithful old dog, runs out of his essential medication. His heart is failing. Knowing they cannot save him and cannot bear to watch him suffer, Jason makes the agonizing choice to take Cass into the garage. In the living room, Riley turns a movie up to maximum volume, wrapping her arms around the kids as a single gunshot echoes softly behind closed doors. To survive the impending starvation, Jason is forced to freeze the meat for sustenance. A brutal, heart-wrenching sacrifice that illustrates just how far this family is being pushed to stay alive. When the last of the food runs out months later, Riley collapses on the kitchen floor from malnutrition. The fridge is completely bare. In that moment of utter defeat, their teenage son, Graham, walks into the room holding 4 small fish fillets. He had sacrificed his own beloved pet goldfish, animals he had cared for years, using the exact cleaning techniques his father had taught him to ensure his family could eat for one more night. If that scene doesn't hit you right in the chest, nothing will. Inspired by his son's bravery, Jason gets to work. Using a skateboard, springs, and garden tools, he builds ingenious traps lowered down the fireplace flue. After a few failed attempts, he captures a small squirrel. The family devours the tiny meal straight out of the hot skillet, savoring every crumb like a Thanksgiving feast. Taking it a step further, Jason tears up the wooden floorboards in the living room, digging straight into the rich soil underneath so Riley can plant the tomato seeds she had meticulously saved. A massive time jump reveals the family 5 years later. Against all odds, they haven't just survived, they've adapted. The living room is now a lush indoor garden. Graham plays beautiful classical melodies on the piano to comfort his mother, while Ruth draws in the attic. They have become ultimate survivors. But psychological walls are harder to maintain than physical ones. The kids are now young adults, desperate to experience the world outside, sick of living under Jason's militaristic rules. During a heated family argument about breaking out, their raised voices attract the unthinkable. The rain begins to roar outside, and for the first time in 6 years, the front door lock clicks open on its own. A monstrous entity, resembling a nightmare leviathan, like an enormous octopus armed with razor-sharp, scythe-like tentacles, glides into the living room. It leaves behind a trail of freezing, salty slime that instantly kills their garden and ruins their stored fresh water. Hiding beneath the floorboards, Ruth watches in absolute terror as a blade-like tentacle grazes inches from her face. A stray drop of the creature's corrosive brine splashes directly into her eye before the monster retreats into the storm. With their crops destroyed, their water poisoned, and Ruth burning with a lethal fever from the infection, waiting around is no longer an option. Jason realizes their sinking foundation is their only escape route. Using a sledgehammer, he smashes through the basement floor, cracking open the neighborhood's main drainage pipe. Riley, being the smallest, volunteers to crawl through the murky, flooded pipe to reach neighbor Max's house to scavenge for antibiotics. Her journey through the subterranean pipe is pure nightmare fuel. Crawling into Max's flooded basement, She finds crabs emerging from the remains of her former neighbors and discovers Max, who took his own life after losing his wife. Just as she grabs the medicine, the Leviathan enters the flooded basement. In a heart-pounding chase, Riley fires 3 shots straight into the creature's face before Jason pulls her up to safety through the floor, sealing the pipe behind her with heavy rubble. With the monster furiously pounding against the basement barricade, Jason realizes a profound truth. Surviving in a cage is no longer enough. It's time to stop hiding and fight for their freedom. The family converts their home into a deadly trap. They craft heavy harpoons, rig Molotov cocktails, and attach steel cables to the truck's winch in the garage. As Jason promised his kids 6 years ago, it's finally time to go fishing. The sky opens up in the apocalyptic deluge. Ocean water erupts from every pipe in the house, flooding the ground floor in seconds and forcing the family upward. The Leviathan breaks through. Riley strikes first, hurling a Molotov cocktail that sets the beast's face ablaze. The flames light up the murky water, giving Jason the exact visual he needs to drive a heavy harpoon deep into the monster's hide. Graham dives into the flooded lower floor, risking his life to retrieve the second harpoon line before the creature drags them under. Working as a synchronized unit, they lure the beast into the garage and trigger the truck winch, pinning the thrashing monster under the collapsing wooden beams of the house. With the Leviathan trapped in the rubble, Jason steps forward, knife raised, ready to deliver the killing blow. But little Ruth rushes in, placing herself between her father and the beast. She recognizes the creature's eyes. It's the Rainwalker she saw years ago. She begs her father to stop, sensing that the creature isn't acting out of malice, but out of survival. Choosing compassion over vengeance, Jason lowers his blade and cuts the monster free. In a breathtaking moment of mutual respect, the creature uses one of its massive tentacles to hit the exterior release, unsealing the heavy front door at last. As the family steps out into the blinding daylight, they find themselves surrounded by a dozen other aquatic leviathans. But the Rainwalker utters a low, resonant rumble, commanding the pack to stand down and let the humans pass. Behind them, the home's weakened foundation gives out entirely, sinking into a massive, watery abyss. Ruth races up a nearby hill, and as she reaches the crest, the full, awe-inspiring reality of their world is revealed. The suburban neighborhood, the cities, the entire continent has been submerged. The Earth has returned to an endless, glassy ocean. The Leviathans didn't invade to destroy humanity. They simply emerged from the deep ocean trenches to reclaim a planet that was always theirs. Surviving the end of the old world, Jason and his family locate Boat Guy's abandoned vessel, the boat that never touched water, and push it out into the infinite blue. As they hoist the sail and navigate toward the horizon, a new counter begins on screen. Day 1. Not of an encierro, but of a new beginning in a drowned world. What would you have done if you were in Jason's shoes? Would you have shown mercy to the creature at the very end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into this apocalyptic thriller, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another epic movie recap. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.